everyone. Welcome to Marie's Scrappy Creations, where we sew the scraps of your life into beautiful creations. Today we're making another zippered bag. No groans, zippers aren't that hard. If you haven't tried it yet, I have a few videos, I'll link them below, that start out even easier than this one. But what this project is, a while back when I first started making bags with zippers, because I used to be afraid of them too, I ran across a blog post and she had the cutest bag. It had a pleat in it. I fell in love with it immediately. I had to make that bag. So I have changed a few of the things over time, but it is not my pattern. I want to make that clear. It is not my pattern. It's hers. I'm going to link her blog, the post with the original directions below. But the one thing you will not see on any of my bags today is the method used in the zippers, because you guys know I have a zipper method that I absolutely love. But that doesn't mean that you need to use my method. You could certainly go to the blog post and go and do it just how she did. My first ones were made like that. There's not a thing wrong with them. It's just I prefer this zipper style. So check out that bag. Isn't that sweet? I love this bag. It's got little strawberry fabrics with the greenery and the little red button. Opens up, nice roomy bag in there. The pleat makes it so cute. So that's not the only one, right? Because you got to have another one. So this one I made, as you can see, it has a sunflower button on there. I think it's an adorable bag. But then I tried boxing the corner. So I boxed my corners and got a whole different look. So this is the same pattern, made with the same size cut out of everything. It's just I boxed the corner. So what it did was it made it a little more poofy. And I really like that. I think it's cute. But either way, I'm going to tell you how to box your corners. I'm going to direct you to it. But in the video, I'll be showing you the original method for making these, okay? So giving credit where credit is due, this isn't my pattern. They are my modifications, but I didn't come up with this. Okay, so we're going to go get started. And I just want to thank you for coming to visit with me today, hanging out with me. And if you haven't already, please hit the like button. And if you haven't subscribed, please think about subscribing. That way you get your notifications when I post a new video or when I'm going live. Okay? So let's get busy. We're going to make some pleated bags. These make great gifts, and we're starting to think of gift giving season or a birthday. You never know what you're going to need it for. Let's go give this a try. All right, let's see what we need for today's project. You're going to need, oh, well, this is great for scraps. These, because you could use just little pieces that you have. Let me take that pin cushion off out of the way. You're going to need 2 strips. Now these are for the outer. I'm going to put this finished front to the side so you can visualize. These go here. So you need 2 pieces of fabric that are 2 inches by 7 inches. And these will be listed in the description box as well as the pinned comment below the video. You will also need 2 pieces that are 5 inches by 9 inches. So I have those 2 pieces. Again, 5 inches by 9 inches. You'll need a small piece that measures 2 inches by 3 inches for your zipper pull. You'll need 2 pieces of fabric that measure 7 inches by 9 inches, and these are for your lining. Now, I'm going to stop here and say that there are a few variations. I have made my bags like this before using this part, okay? But there is another way to go. You could make another set like what you're doing here with the 2x7 and the 5x9 pieces and make your lining look just like this. Because otherwise your lining is going to be a little bit smaller inside than the outside is. And personally, I didn't care for that method. I have made it that way, but it wasn't a preference of mine. So that's that part. That's what I think. But I'm going to show you both ways, okay? So there are our pieces. Then, if you want to use interfacing, these are the two that I have tried. I've tried the SF101 and the 906, which is a sheer weight. I've tried both. There's some I like, some I didn't. Now this, I boxed my corners because otherwise it's kind of going to flare at the bottom like this. So there's a few variations you could do. Now I kind of like that bag. It stands up on its own. It's still squishy enough. And as you can see, you can jazz this up with any amount of decorative items, which I am just about to show you. So you might want to leave it plain. There's not a thing wrong with the plain. You might want to add decorative stitches or lace or maybe a button. You could put a button in the center. I found these sunflower buttons and thought maybe one might be fun here or maybe one of those little butterflies might be kind of fun there. But we'll see. I don't know what I'm going to do with that one yet. So you might want some rickrack, lace, buttons, or anything else that you have that you'd like to use up, because it's all about scrapping and using what we have, right? Okay, so I have my pieces of SF101 all cut, and I am going to place them on my outer pieces. And I'm going to place them there. I'm going to iron them on before I start doing anything else. So I'm going to put the wrong side up and then feel your fusibles. You can feel the glue side. Now I cut these just about 1/4 inch short all the way around so that I've got about 1/8 of an inch, as you can see, all the way around. Okay. So glue side down to the wrong side of your pattern pieces, and you're going to take them to your iron and press those on. And you use whatever heat and directions that your packaging on your fusible tells you to do. Because I know people are watching from all over the world, so you have different pieces. So you don't need anything on this. You just need it on your outer 4 main pieces. So we're going to attach that, and then I'll meet you back here for the next step. Right, I have my fusibles. They are fused onto my pieces, all 4 of them. Now, if you have a directional pattern, I mean, mine can go either way, but if I figure on how many strawberries are falling each direction, I guess I'd do them this way. Anyway, if you have a directional fabric, make sure it is correct and that you make the following marks at the top if you have a directional. Now, you can use a disappearing marker, you can use a pen or a pencil. Usually I use these, but because it's the same color or close to this, I won't be able to see it. I'm going to use a regular pen. You are going to measure 3.5 inches from the edge. You're going to make a little mark at the top. You don't need much, and I just make a little mark right there. I just need to be able to make a fold there. So we're going to make one at 3.5, at 4.5, and at 5.5. We're going to do this on both of our pieces. And as I said, it's just a little mark. You just need to make a crease there, so as long as you can see it, it's close enough. I've also used pins to do this, so whatever you like to do. Okay, set this on some fabric. I don't like to set my iron there. All right, now this is what I do. I take my mark, my first mark, once I find it again, and I make a fold. And what you're going to do is you're going to fold one, and you're going to make it meet that center mark at 4.5. And I usually take my iron and give it a little press if I had enough cord here. I got all caught up. Try this again. So you make a fold at your 5.5-inch mark and fold it to your 4.5-inch mark. And I just give it a quick little press so that it, see, I have a mark there, okay? And I'm going to place a pin to hold that. And you want to bring it so that, see how it wants to go this way? Bring it down a little bit so that this is all even right here. Your fabric is even. And then you're going to take your other mark, your 3.5-inch mark, make your fold, and bring it over to the center. And again, straighten this up just a bit. Because that one will usually stay right there. I do give it a little press just to make sure I have the lines there. So now we're going to repeat for our second piece. So as soon as I find those marks that I know I made, I can see 2 of them, but I guess I'm going to have to remake them or I will not see anything and I'll have it all messed up, won't I? So I'm going to go again, 3.5. Oh yeah, now I see that mark and this mark. This third mark was right in the leaf, so that's how I missed that one. Okay, I will make my fold it to there. Give it a little press. There's so many different ways you can do this part. As I said, I've done it where that just looks off to me for some reason. I think I have the wrong mark. Let me see, because I'm going by that leaf thing there. Yeah, I have the wrong line because all these leaves look like they have a line in them. Okay, there, that's better. Anyway, as I was saying, I have used pins instead of making any mark at all. And that works out just as well. You just put your pin in where your mark would be, and then you pull it to meet the next pin and so on. And again, I'll press that. And we will pin it. And now that these are pinned like this, we're going to go over to the, grab something here. All right, we're going to go to the sewing machine and just right here. Oops, I'm not sure why that won't focus. Show you from behind. We're going to sew right here in the pleat. And I just do it as close to the edge as you can make it, okay? You're going to go as close as you can, and it's just basting stitches. You don't need anything large. It's fine. So I'm going to take that over, and I'll come back and show you what's next. All right, now I have them sewn, and I can show you from this edge easier. See how close that is? It just holds the pleat without pins. And I just do that as something that I find to be helpful. You don't have to. As I always say, whatever you think you want to do. Now, I'm sure you can see how these curve because of the pleat. Okay, so this is what you do next. Instead of doing them one at a time, I do it this way so that they're both the same. And I don't want you to worry about this little thing or whether it's perfect, this little thing we're about to do. Okay, you're going to place your ruler against this pleated area that's straight. Remember how we straightened that? And just take any ruler. I guess I'll use my wide one, making sure you guys can see. You're going to place the straight edge right there. You see how you have these little areas sticking out? Okay. We're going to lop those off. Now, generally what I do is I make sure down here that they're kind of somewhat even, but you know, I've never measured it. I've never had a problem with this. And that's what I took off, just those little bitty pieces. All right, onward. Now we're going to grab those two strips, the ones that are 2 by 7, because now, of course, these don't measure 9 inches because we have the pleat in there. So you're going to put right sides together and pin or clip in place. Always do my edges first. Okay. I want those pleats to hold in place. And again, if you have a directional fabric on these pieces as well, you're going to want to be mindful of that. I like working with non-directional when at any time it's possible in a bag like this, because, you know, it is possible. You just have to pay attention. But sometimes I just want to sew and relax. I don't want to have the pressure of, oh no, is it, you know, going the right way. I just like to not have to worry about it. Okay, I'm going to take these over to the sewing machine. I'm going to use a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and I'm going to sew across there. The only thing I want to point out at this time is if you wanted to put lace on it, like what I did with this is where I put it in. See, I had laid the lace across here and then sewed it in there. So if you want lace, now is the time. And as I said earlier, you don't need to interface these. I'm going to show you my examples here when we're done making this, and you'll see that one has the SF101, one has the lightweight, I guess it was sheer weight. I think that was 906, and this one doesn't have any, this one here. And they're all very nice bags. They're just different, so it's going to depend on what you want. And as you see, they're different shapes as well. And that comes from the finishing method, which we will get to. All right, 1/4 inch from your edge, meet me back here. And that is quick, just like that. This really doesn't take very long to make. I think the last one I whipped up in under, I think it was around 15 minutes. Of course, I had everything cut. Now you can take this to the iron or you can finger press it. I'm probably going to take it to the iron because it's stiffer with this, and it will come out better. Okay, now we're going to grab our zipper. I have these all pressed. Zipper is next. So I want you to take your zipper. Mine is longer than I need it, but that's fine because it actually helps. All right, so the next thing is we're going to do what I call my zipper trick. Okay, get my iron out. So we're going to turn our zipper, because this is the zipper pull is up. We're going to turn it over. Okay. You're going to fold. You're going to take that corner and just fold it into a little triangle right there. And I always take my iron because it will help to hold it in place. Do the same thing on the other side. Fold it up, and I just fold it up until it meets there, because then I know it's even side to, on each side. And you don't have to worry too much. You don't want to leave it there a half hour, but I do give it some heat. Yeah, when my iron's on. I guess I'll turn my iron on. It will work better. Okay, so here again, we fold it up. Just give it a little press. And again. And I've seen people sew those to keep them there. I've never had any problem with them staying, so I just leave it as it is. Okay, grab one of your pieces. We're going to say that if you want it to open from left to right, if you're a right-hander, then you're going to put your zipper pull side down with the zipper end on the left. If you're making it for a left-handed person, you're going to do the opposite. Okay, so open your zipper, and right at the edge, I want this corner right here to be even with the end of your fabric. And I'm going to put a pin there to hold it. And I know many of you like to use your clips, and that's fine, but personally on a zipper, I go all the way with the pins. I want my zipper to be exactly where I want it to be. But people get pretty slick with those clips, and that's good for them. It just doesn't work for me personally. And I'm just holding this here because I'm going to get my lining fixed next. Let's show you the lining. You have two options, okay? You could make another set like this for your lining. So let's say it was this fabric. You'd cut them both out of this fabric. You'd make a 5 by 9 and a 2 by 7, and you would do exactly what you did here. Or you can do this. Now I'm going to show you these two bags I have made up for demonstration purposes. Now I know that this one has the boxed corners, but disregarding that, inside it has the pleats. I made this just exactly the same as I did the outer bag, okay? Because it's roomier, you get the full size. Because the other way is like this, and there's nothing wrong with this. It's kind of the shape of this and everything. Just a little, I don't know, a little snugger in there, but it really, there isn't a huge difference enough that I personally wouldn't put the time into it to do another one this way. I just go this way. All right, which is the way I'm about to show you. So I have placed my lining fabrics right sides together, one on top of the other. I want you to take one of your outside pieces and place it right there, right on it. Pin it in place. Let it lay the way it wants to. Just kind of pat it down a little bit. And again, pin it. Grab your scissors and trim it. And this is a whole lot simpler than making the pleat inside and doing all that. Although, I will say, it looks really nice in there that way. And I've also made these with an inside pocket. And I used this method here that I'm showing you for the liner when I did it. Any of you who've made a pocket before are going to know what I'm talking about, but basically you'd put some interfacing on here, and you want to use interfacing anytime you're sewing something to it, but I just placed my pocket right on there. It worked out great, just right in here. All right, so now you have these skirt looking pieces. Okay, so now back to this. We have our zipper. Now we're going to take this, so we have right side up, and our fabric goes right side down, and we're going to pin it, but we're not going to pin it all the way across. If you guys have been with me for a while, you might have seen this zipper technique. I learned it a while back. It comes in very handy. The pattern, this bag pattern that I found on a blog years ago, doesn't use this zipper method, and I'm going to leave the link to her blog below because this is her pattern, not mine. She did a wonderful job. I just simply like the zipper when it extends past, and this one I don't have it going very far past the edge, but to me it gives it a nice clean look. It also gives you something to grab onto, and I really like it. If you don't like the zipper method, you can go to the link that I'm going to provide and you can do it that way. Okay, from the right side edge, I want you to measure 1 inch over, and I want you to place some kind of a specialized pin or something that's going to make you remember that you don't want to go past that. Because what we're going to do is we're going to put on our zipper foot, and we're going to start here, and we're going to sew all the way to here, and we're going to stop. And when we stop, we're going to be pulling the zipper down this way so that when we sew, the zipper is out of the way. And I'm going to take you over to the sewing machine with me both times that I do this, just so that it's clear, because I know some of you could be like me. I'm a visual learner. You can tell me something and I can read it, but boy, if you show me right physically, I've got it. Okay, let's go over to the sewing machine. Okay, I have my zipper foot on. I have a 2.5 millimeter stitch length, and I am moving my needle closer to the center what I can. Let's see if I can get this closer. And I always start off, and that's what I do. Okay, start off with the cloth, and I got to get my camera just right. Okay, I hope you guys will be able to see this. See, nothing to it. So far, so good. Now remember, when we get to this pink one, we're going to stop. And I always take a back stitch, and then I go back to where I was. Pull your special pin out. And I always have this one here holding it. I'm going to take that out. You're just going to hold your fabrics so they don't move. Okay? And you can even check that. Just peek underneath there. Make sure they're moved out of the way. And if it buckles, just do that. Just lift your presser foot. And then back tack. all sewn across. I'll leave that there for next time. Let's go over to the table. We're going to open this up, spread it out. I'm going to finger press this. You could and probably should take it to the iron. I normally do, but for the sake of time, I'm not going to do that right now. And here you want to make sure, this is where we don't have the zipper. Just kind of press that, make sure that's nice and straight. Pull your zipper back up. Make sure everything's straight. Unzip, just leave it sitting like this. You don't want your zipper turned. You don't want it to flip. Going to pin it. Remember how we lined it up the last time? That corner with that edge. Take your other lining piece, lay it, and I'm going to show you in just a second how everything is sandwiched as soon as I get this pin in here. All right. This is where it helps to have the longer zipper. People wonder why, you know, some of us use the longer zippers, and yeah, this is overkill, but it makes it so much simpler, because if your zipper ended right here, you would be really messing with this. So you have your lining is right side up, your zipper, and then your outer part is right side down. So again, lining the top of your zipper with the top edges of your fabrics. You're just going to pin along until we get 1 inch from the edge. And this is just the cutest little bag. Of course, I love bags. And I try not to give you guys too many of them, but seriously, there's nothing difficult about these bags. And if you haven't tried a zipper yet, I have quite a few videos that are great for beginners. And this is another one. This is not a difficult one. And I know if you've never tried a zipper, you're rolling your eyes, because that used to be me too. But zippers aren't as difficult as I made them out to be. But of course, I was referencing zippers in, you know, jeans and jackets, and this is a whole other thing. All right, 1 inch from this edge to here, we're going to mark again. And I'm going to take you back to the sewing machine, just because if this is a new technique, I want you to learn it. So we're going to go back to the sewing machine, sew this. Okay, here we go again. And remember, I have a 2.5 millimeter stitch length with my zipper foot, and I have it close to the center of my zipper foot. I have it on 5.0, but I know every machine is different, so that's not going to help you a whole lot. I'm sorry. Not that you have to move your zipper. You certainly can sew it the way they intended when they made these machines. It works out fine. I just like to move. I like to have that little bit of extra space. Okay, we're almost to our marker pin. Back tack. Pull that out. And this one, just like before, hold our fabrics. I always lift to make sure everything is straight. Meet you over at the table. Okay. And again, we're going to finger press. See how neat that zipper looks though? Let me zoom in on that a little bit. See, I love this method because it's so neat looking. I just love it. Better zoom you back out here. Me and my camera tricks. Okay, I think that's about where we were. Somewhere close. All right, so finger press. Keep that nice and neat in there. And that's a nice looking, neat zipper, I think. I really like this method anyway. All right, we're going to zip up and see what we have here. All right, so this is what it should look like. You've got your linings and your outer. Now, you need to listen really carefully at this point. You don't want to mess this part up. Let me get my old scissors. Now, don't forget that we need a little bit of our zipper here. So I don't want you to lop this off there, okay? Measure out and give yourself about 5 inches if you have a long zipper. If you don't need to worry about that. But you do need one that extends at least 3 inches beyond the edge. Very important, open your zipper at least halfway. Take a safety pin, fold this zipper in. I just do this to keep it out of the way. And I pin it there. I also wanted to add in, at this point, I'm going to stop because I want to place a button right there. So I'm going to stop and sew that button on, because if I wait too long, if I sew this up, then I'll be having to do it through the lining, which I really don't want to do. The only thing I want to warn you about is if you put it up top, like say this one, you have to be careful because we're going to be top stitching here. So you might want to move it down towards this area. And I'm just going to do that. I'm going to bring it up probably about 1/4 of an inch from that seam, and I'm just going to sew that into place. And I'll be right back with you to show you the next step. Okay, my button is all sewn on there, just where I wanted it. So now we're going to put right sides together of our lining. So see how we have it. The zipper is at least halfway open. Don't forget your zipper. Make sure that all your pieces are not in your seams. You don't want those there. So right sides together. I always pin my corners first. Goodness. And after the corners, we're going to go to the zipper area because that's where the seams come together. Okay, so right up in here. Make sure that you nest your seams, just like a quilt. Nest your seams. Put a pin in there to hold it. And again, I know some of you are into the clips. You do whatever's better for you. I know for me, I just cannot get them to hold the seam exactly where I want it. Like it would hold this area, a clip would, but it wouldn't hold my nested seams, and I'm too worried about it screwing up. Okay, so again, on the other side, we're nesting our seams. Can't get my finger to work right there. Okay. And a pin. And this is the edge that has that zipper hump. Don't worry about that. It will lay down where it needs to go. when you go to sew over it, or sew near it, I should say, because you won't be sewing exactly over it. Now on the lining, we need to leave an opening to turn this right side out when we're done. So I always have my pins in right here. I'm going to poke them this way. I'm going to leave a little bit of an opening there. I don't need a whole lot. This isn't a huge bag. Let's see, I've got about a 3 1/4 inch, anything along there. Now we're going to go to the sewing machine, and I'm going to use either a 1.8 or a 2.0 stitch length. I'm going to back tack, and I'm going to sew all the way around until I get here, and I'm going to back tack. And then you guys will be right here waiting for me to see what I did. No, you guys wait right here. Oops, I guess I ought to pin this, huh? Keep this together. But I hope you guys like these, because I'll tell you, once you make them, they make great gifts. And we all know Christmas is coming, and I bet you know someone with a birthday. Okay, I'm going to go sew that, and I'll meet you right back here. That was quick, wasn't it? I'm so fast. I bet you it was just like a blink of an eye for you guys. Okay, I know. I'm not a comedian. I can't help it. Okay, now, here is where decisions are going to be made. If you want your bag shaped like this, you don't need to do anything on this next part. If you want your bag like this, which is how, I don't know, it's just a variation, okay? I'm going to do this one like this, but I want to tell you, kind of show you how you would go about doing this if that's what you wanted to do. You would mark these 1 inch from your edge, because remember, you used a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So if you did that faithfully all the way around and you made a box like this, it should be 3/4 of an inch from your seam line. But anyway, you would make that, you would cut those out, and I'm going to leave you a link at the end of this video as well as in the description box below. And if you follow that video, it will show you how to box your corners as well as how to sew them together afterwards to keep your lining from coming out of your bag when you grab something from the bag. Okay, but we're not going to do that. We're going to make this flared style because I think it shows the pleat more. Going to trim my edges a little bit, not too close. Now, as I had just said, when you do it this way, there's a method for sewing your lining so that you can't pull it up. So you can go like this, but you can't pull your lining out of there. It won't come. So a lot of handmade bags, when you reach in for something and you pull it out, the lining comes out with it. So there's a way around that, and I'm going to show you. You're going to hold this down right edge to edge. Okay. Now I want you to take this back to the sewing machine, and right here, you can do it on this edge, you can do it here, but you're going to, I'm going to do mine right here. I'm going to go 3 or 4 stitches back and forth, and cut my thread. 3 or 4 stitches back and forth, cut my thread. I'm going to do that, and I'll meet you right back here. Okay. And that is a trick that I didn't used to know, but it is very handy. Okay, now we're going to flip our bag right side out through our opening in the lining. And if you left yourself a fairly small hole, just, excuse me, just take the time. I always reach in and open my zipper the rest of the way because that always makes it easier. Okay, and we're going to flip that right side out. I always like to unpin this, but just be careful that you don't open your zipper. You don't want to open your zipper and have it unzip. Not at this point in time. Okay. And of course, I'm going to have to flip it wrong side out again here in a moment because I'm going to have to sew up my opening. I like to poke my corners out and get a feel for what it looks like. And I will tell you a tip that I have learned. If you use a solid color fabric or one without a lot of pattern to it, your pleat will show a lot more. But isn't that a nice looking bag, right? Okay, so we're close to being done. Now you can stop right now and you can sew up the bottom. I used to be a stickler for, oh, I had to hand sew it. I didn't want to, you know, have the machine stitches show, but I don't. I use my zipper foot and I can sew so very close to the edge of that it doesn't bother me at all. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you, just in case you've never used your zipper foot. I'll show you what I'm talking about here in just a moment. The other thing I normally do is iron this. But for time's sake, we're not going to do that today. All right. So when you have this underneath the sewing machine, and you have this here, your needle is going to come down here. Let me see if I can get this a little closer. Your needle is going to come down on the right side, okay? And so you're going to be able to travel along that edge and you'll be able to get very close to that, okay? And that's why I use a zipper foot when I close these up. Okay, we're back. Nice, neat little edge. So we'll flip this right side out. We're going to finish our zipper and top stitch, and we're done. So all we need to do is put our zipper tab on. And I remember when I first started doing these, this seemed so tricky to me, but it really isn't. Wow, I just love this bag. Okay, we have our little piece of fabric. We have our zipper. Now what I did was I put this, I put my bag like this. And I laid the end of the zipper out and I cut it at 2.5 inches from the end, okay? That's totally up to you. You can cut it at whatever length you want. Take your zipper right side up and center this right on this mark because we just did this. We made a center crease right there. So we know exactly where the middle is. Now you're going to lay the zipper track right there in the center and fold the edge over. And it should basically meet the center of your zipper. I'll show you what I mean. See how that fabric lays right along there? That's perfect. Okay, so we're going to do it on the other side. Give it a little press. And a pin. Okay. Now we're going to take our ruler and mark 3/4 of an inch down from the end, and we're going to make a sewing line right there. So take it to your machine, back stitch, sew it across there, and then meet me back here. Okay, that's sewn across. Oops. Now I'm going to flip it up this way. I'm just going to give the fabric a little pull and see how that like wants to curl right around there. Well, we're going to work with that. Okay. So I finger press so that it's straight. Fold it over to meet the end of the zipper. We're giving it a press so that that fold is established. Now the next fold you want to make would be even with this part here. Okay. Check that, looks good. And again, I will press that. Now, when I first started making these, I would fold this over and then I would pin it. And sometimes this little edge would be poking out a little bit or something wasn't quite right. And then other times, yeah, just like this. This is the edge I'm talking about. It kind of pokes out of there. Well, I found a way around that, as well as a way to use something other than pins. So I have some zipper tape here. I guess is what they call it. Let me see, I have some in a package. Wonder tape. It is a wonder I had it that handy, but that's what it is, wonder tape. All right, so you just need a couple of little pieces of this. And this is great on zippers if you're new to zippers and you want them to stay in place and you don't, you're not comfortable. This is great stuff. So there's a sticky side. So put the sticky side down. Give it a little bit of heat. And peel that off. As you can see, you've got some sticky, looks like sticky tape there, which is just perfect. So we're going to fold this over. I'm going to get that corner to stay in there so that it doesn't poke out. I'll touch it with the iron again. Okay. Now I'm going to take this over to the sewing machine, and using a 2.5 or 3.0 stitch length, I'm going to stitch around in a square. Make sure you back tack. Right, so there's my zipper tab, all sewn. There's only one thing left to do, and that is to top stitch. And when I do this, I generally pin because one bad experience, when I first started making zippered bags, I didn't always pin this. And what happened one time is it looked great up here. I was top stitching, but underneath the fabric was up like that. So as you can imagine, the zipper didn't work very well and I had to take my stitches out. So now I just pin it to make sure that it is held in place. Okay, so I always start here underneath this zipper because I figure it's the most inconspicuous place to start. So I'm going to sew around. But one thing I wanted to mention was on my machine, I have to pull off Trying to think of the piece that's called, but anyway, to leave the free arm, okay? And even then, one of these was really tight. I can't remember which one it is. So instead of putting this on my machine like this, I actually sewed it by going along like this and just turning it and sewing from the inside. So just do whichever one works best for you, okay? Let's go top stitch. We're almost done. I thought these were very fun to make. I hope that you guys enjoy making them. I did have to edit this video because when I first did it, I forgot to cut the tip, you know, to measure the length of zipper. So I did it wrong the first time, and I did go back and edit it, but normally I don't edit out, but I didn't see a way around it. So I wanted to tell you guys that, see, at first I had left it really long just because I hadn't measured it yet, and we sewed everything. And then when I flipped it right side, back side out or whatever, I sewed the zipper tab on without trimming it to the 2.5 inches that I normally do. So I did go back and edit, so I apologize for that, for any confusion or any flicks of the video. But I think that is a nice looking bag. I've made several. In fact, the second one I made for a friend, and she had given me a vintage tablecloth, and that had been her mom's, and I made one of these bags out of the tablecloth, and it was gorgeous. You know, those 1950s, 1960s, well, earlier too, tablecloths. So anyway, I hope that you enjoyed today's video. I'm going to give you the creative word of the day today is going to be pleat, because we worked with pleats today. And as I said, I really am glad that you hung out with me. It's always fun to get together with a friend, isn't it? And I hope that I see you on What's Up Wednesday. I may pop in for a chatty video before then because I miss you guys. And I know you guys like chatty videos, so we can always do that. So until next time, you take care, be safe, be kind out there. The world needs more of that. And I'll see you next time right here at Marie's Scrappy Creations. Bye-bye.